Hi there, thanks for joining us. This is Space Nuts, where we talk astronomy and space science. My name is Andrew Dunkley. It's great to have your company yet again. And if you're a brand new listener, welcome along. Hope you enjoy it and hope you stick around. On this episode, we will be focusing on a whole bunch of different types of stuff. The first one is a new paper that's been released suggesting that there are lava tubes on Venus. How do they know? We can't even see it. Well, they've got some evidence that they think points the finger at Venus's lava tubes. Elon Musk, who has for many years been saying, I'm going to send people to Mars and they're going to live there, he's changed his mind. He's got a new target. We'll tell you about that. China has tested a reusable booster, and Saturn's moon Titan might have previously been 2 moons. We'll talk about all of that on this episode of Space Nuts.
15 seconds. Guidance is internal. 10, 9. Ignition sequence start.
Space Nuts.
5, 4, 3, 2.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Space Nuts.
Astronauts report it feels good.
And joining us again in his spare time is Professor Fred Watson, astronomer at large. Hello, Fred.
Hello, Andrew. Very good to see you. And I see that the launches are going well behind your head there. It looks great.
Yes. That's a photo I took inside the Sphere in Las Vegas. We watched a presentation there about a year ago now. And one of the pictures was all these rockets taking off. It looked so nice. I took the photo and there they are. Yeah, a bunch of them. That's humanity leaving Earth because we'd made such a mess of it. They couldn't leave here anymore. That's what that represents. It's it was a really interesting story, and people came back to visit Earth as tourists because and they had to wear spacesuits because you couldn't breathe here anymore.
That's a really good segue into one of our stories today. So, all well thought.
Yes, well, let's get started because our very first story involves a planet not unlike Earth at some time in its history, but it's suffering a runaway greenhouse effect and it is now unlivable. But we are trying so hard to learn as much as we can about Venus, and because it's shrouded in cloud and you can't see the surface, we have to use different techniques to see what's going on. And a new paper has just been published suggesting that there are lava tubes on this particular world. This should not come as a surprise because we know it's got so many volcanoes. We don't know if they're still active, but we know it's got more than anywhere else, hasn't it?
It has. You're absolutely right. It's, if I remember rightly, the number's 2,000.
Gosh.
For Earth, it's something like 1,400. I think that's from statistics I wrote down for a book once upon a time. But you're absolutely right. We simply don't know whether any of those 2,000 volcanoes are actually still active. You and I have spoken about this before, and there's sort of circumstantial evidence that there might still be activity, or there might have been activity within the last million years, which sounds like a rather large window, except it may well be that, people have thought that these things shut down 3.5 billion years ago. So if there's been activity within the last million years, then it's still happening. That's the bottom line. But yeah, so you're quite right. In a body as volcanically not active, perhaps, but with a past history of being active, you might expect to find lava tubes. And you and I have both walked through lava tubes in Hawaii, and experienced what they're like. And my recollection of those is that they're just a few meters in diameter, maybe 3 or 4 meters, perhaps 5. Well, the news with this lava tube is that it is about 1 kilometer wide.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, it's a big one.
Wow.
Where does the evidence come from? Because you're quite right, we cannot directly see the surface of Venus, although I should give a shout out to my late friend and colleague, David Allen, sadly passed away in 1994, I think. He was at the age of only 47. He actually observed for the first time the surface of Venus from a ground-based telescope. It was the Anglo-Australian telescope here in New South Wales, and he was using infrared radiation, and he found evidence that he could actually penetrate to the surface. Now, there wasn't actually very much to see, and most of what we know about the surface of Venus has come from a spacecraft called Magellan, which was in orbit between 1990 and 1992 around the planet Venus. It was a NASA spacecraft and had something called synthetic aperture radar on board. Collected a huge trove of data on the surface of Venus. It's how we know there are volcanoes there. It's how we know that there are rocky features. Lots and lots of different what you might call igneous rock features. Those are the ones that are created by volcanoes. And it's now a reanalysis of some of those data by a group at the Remote Sensing Laboratory at the University of Trento in Italy. They have coordinated the reanalysis of the data and basically have looked for evidence of what are called skylights. And a skylight is a hole in the roof of a lava tube, as you'd expect. It kind of gives it away. And I'm sure I recall seeing skylights in lava tubes in Hawaii as well. But what they've found is evidence not just for a roof collapse, which could be, any old cave under the surface whose roof has collapsed, but to show that there is a sort of a channel on either side of that collapsed roof. In other words, a subsurface cavity that is going backwards and forwards, if I can put it that way, as well as just downwards. So what you're talking about is, yes, a lava tube. Lava tubes, as you and I probably both aware, are formed by flowing lava. But what happens is the lava sort of develops a crust as the lava flow is carried on. And that crust of solid lava basically insulates the hot lava that's flowing from its frozen surroundings, and so solidified surroundings. And so you've got the molten rock just keeps on moving. And then eventually when the eruption stops, the lava drains away and you've got an empty tunnel, hence the lava tube.
Yes.
And so that's what we're talking about here. The roof is thought to be pretty deep. This all comes from these radar measurements, at least 150 meters thick. And so then you've got an empty void that goes down at least 375 meters. And as I said, the width or the estimated diameter of this lava tube is 1 kilometer. Now, that's very, very big.
Yes.
It's and there's a very nice article about this on Space Daily, and they say that is at the upper end of what scientists have suggested or observed for similar structures on the Moon, and above the typical sizes expected on Earth or Mars. But the research team have commented that this is consistent with Venus having lava channels that are much larger and probably longer than those on the other planets or the other lava-rich worlds like the Moon and the planet Mars. So really interesting stuff. Are we going to go and explore one of these? Well, that's a really good question, given the temperature is, what is it, 450 Celsius or thereabouts?
It'd be much cooler in the lava tube, I reckon.
Probably would. Might drop at least 5 degrees in the lava tube. You'd be fine.
Right, yeah.
There's a suggestion from these researchers, and I think it's based on sort of circumstantial evidence, that some of these conduits in the same region as the hole that they found could run for, well, they suggest at least 45 kilometres.
Wow.
That's quite remarkable. These are lava tubes, the granddaddies of all lava tubes.
Yes, well, they're coming out of a volcano called Nix Mons.
That's right.
Which is a shield volcano like Olympus Mons. It's not as big, but it is rather huge. It's about 362 kilometres across. Is this particular volcano, according to the article I've just found? But Nix Mons, named after a Greek goddess, apparently.
of darkness, isn't it? Isn't it?
Yeah, it would be. Yeah,
Mount Darkness or something.
Yeah. Yeah, I do have a recollection that Nix has something to do with the underworld or something to that effect. But lava tubes on Venus, lava tubes on the Moon, lava tubes on Earth, lava tubes on Mars. They're everywhere, Fred.
Well, yes. Who gets excited about lava tubes when they're that common? You
well,
do if you're on Venus because they're so big.
And you do if you're going to sort of create a colony on Mars or even the Moon just to protect them from radiation. So, these things were put there for a reason, see? That's what it was.
I'm sure somebody would say that.
Yeah, maybe so. But, great story. And also good to see that some of that old data dating back over 30 years has been reanalyzed and we've been able to learn more from it. I'm loving that that's happening more and more these days. If you want to read about it, as Fred said, it's on spacedaily.com, or you can read the paper proper from start to finish. It's only about 5,000 pages at Nature Communications. Now, Fred, we talked about Mars. We might as well go straight to that planet because in the past we have talked about plans by a certain Elon Musk to send people to Mars and colonize. Now, I know how you feel about colonization of anything beyond Earth, but it looks like he's decided probably not time to consider that. Let's bite off something we can chew.
Exactly. And not before time. So, Elon's Mars aspirations go back 20 years or more, yes. I think, to right to the beginning of SpaceX. And of course, his main reason for developing the Starship was to be able to transport large numbers of people to the planet Mars. And so he has successfully developed Starship, and it is still under test. I think we're on test number 18 is coming up, if I remember rightly, of the whole Starship package with the Falcon Super Heavy and the Starship itself, which is the upper stage. But that so that's it's not quite ready, but it's certainly getting there. But the penny has finally dropped that it's a lot harder to go to Mars than it is to the Moon.
Exactly.
And he has a deal with NASA. He's one of the two companies that is competing for the rights to land or to be the landing vehicle on the Moon for the Artemis 3 and beyond, in other words, the Lunar program. The other company is Blue Origin with Jeff Bezos. They've got a lunar lander that looks a lot more sensible in many ways than Starship. Starship's a huge thing to land it on the Moon. If you get things wrong, you've got a big disaster on your hands. Anyway, that I think is what has focused Elon again on the Moon rather than Mars. Plus the fact that as he's pointed out, he's sent out a text on this, or a blog or social media thingo, which said.
He's probably done it on X.
It might have been X, yes. It's funny you should say that. Anyway, he's suggesting that one of the reasons is that you can go to the Moon every 10 days. You can only go to Mars every 26 months. Plus, you've got a 6-month journey there, whereas you can probably do it in 3 or 4 days for the Moon. And in some senses, it gives you the same outcome for the main reason that Elon wanted to go to Mars, which was to provide a lifeboat for the inhabitants of planet Earth. Elon decided a long time ago, like the spacecraft behind you at the moment, that the Earth was doomed and that we needed somewhere else to go to ensure the survival of Homo sapiens. That's in many ways is a laudable aspiration, but then his next thought was going and trampling all over Mars. But I think you and I have been talking about this for a long time, how difficult it is going to be to put humans on Mars. Just because of the journey there, at least 6 months, you can't come back until you've waited another 6 months or so until the Earth and Mars are in the right position relative to one another, and then you've got a 6-month journey back. It's just such a difficult venture to imagine. And plus, you've got a pretty hostile environment when you're there. The moon's hostile too, but it's a lot nearer. And, in an emergency, as we know from Apollo 13, you can get your astronauts back.
Yes.
So it's like an epiphany, which I'm delighted to see, to be honest.
Yeah, I
think to reality.
I think it's a logical decision. The day will come when we do send people to Mars, but I think
that's right.
It's a lot further off than Elon was hoping, and he's already passed a couple of the deadlines. So,
oh yeah, indeed, yes. Yeah. It was going to be 2024 when they started talking about this in 2016.
Yes, and I think most people thought then that was probably shooting too high or too.
But do you remember Mars One, the guy who conned everybody into training for a one-way journey to Mars, which was going to use SpaceX vehicles. So Elon was kind of in on that.
Yeah. Well, one day it will happen.
It will.
Yes. I think we've got to get it all sorted out for the moon first. And
exactly.
Then we can springboard to Mars, and who knows where beyond that. But, it's going to take time, and you've got to have the right equipment. And I don't think we've really got the gear to do a journey to Mars yet. There's so much about the human body you've got to take into account, not just the life support, but you've got to consider that, they're going to be up there for at least, 18 months, something like that. Yeah, it's a long time.
You're going to be away for at least 18 months, that's right.
Yeah. So your body's going to be affected by that because the gravity that you enjoy and take for granted on Earth that keeps your body the way it is won't be there. So, all these things. Once they've perfected artificial gravity in space, then we might start seeing movement towards Mars. So, we're not there yet. You can read that story at spacedaily.com. This is Space Nuts with Andrew Dunkley and Professor Fred Watson. Let's take a little break from the show to tell you about our sponsor, Incogni. And if you've ever had your information harvested from the World Wide Web, this is the tool for you. Of course, your information is easily available online. We're talking personal information. We're talking addresses, phone numbers, email addresses, even bank details if your protection isn't good enough. This stuff gets harvested and it is sold by data brokers. They sell it to other people who then scam you or other people in your name, which is happening a lot. I've found my information on the dark web on several occasions in recent years and managed to clean it up. But the more I clean it up, the more I have to clean it up because it just keeps going around and around and around. So what is the solution? Well, the solution is you can go online and clear out your personal data by yourself if you've got a couple of years up your sleeve, because that's how long it will take you. Or you can use a ready-made solution, and that is Incogni. And as a Space Nuts listener, you get a special deal with Incogni at the moment. It is simple. It works in the background. It provides ongoing protection, so you can sit back, relax, and know that Incogni is protecting you from these harvesters and scammers. And all you have to do is create an account, give Incogni permission to work on your behalf, and that's it. Job done. And if you want to check out the pricing, there's a 60% off deal for Space Nuts listeners at the moment. That is fantastic. Just go to incogni.com/spacenuts for more information. That's incogni.com/spacenuts and see what works for you. But peace of mind is probably, something that we all need in this world of data thieves. So check it out today, incogni.com/spacenuts.
Houston, Tranquility Base here. The Eagle has landed.
Space Nuts.
The next story brings us back to the space race. And of course, we've been talking with much excitement about the prospect of Artemis 2. taking astronauts around the moon, 4 of them, and bringing them back safely to Earth. They won't be landing or walking around on the surface in this case, but they are delayed, but getting closer to a liftoff, we hope. In the meantime, there's another space agency that is very, very keen to put people on the moon, and that's the China Space Agency, the China Manned Space Agency. And they have just tested their own version of a reusable booster.
Indeed, they have. In fact, they've done a double test, Andrew. So they've already demonstrated that I think it's their Long March 10 rocket can be returned safely back to Earth. So the idea of reusable boosters goes back once again to Elon in 2015 when the first Falcon returned safely to Earth to be reused, and now that's the normal way they do it. And so and it will be the same with the Starship super heavy booster. So it's a sort of one company has basically nailed it, but another number of other companies are doing the same or attempting the same thing. Blue Origin is one of them, Jeff Bezos' company. They've had a success as well. And the China Manned Space Agency has also tested reusable boosters. And the latest test is a kind of double test, because not only have they tested the reusable booster, they have tested their new spacecraft, which is the one intended to take taikonauts to the moon. It's called Mengzhao. If I remember rightly, that means something dream, I think. I can't remember what the exact translation is, but it's a lovely name. So Mengzhao is the spacecraft that will take astronauts from Earth probably to lunar orbit, but then there'll be a separate landing vehicle. So they'll transfer to a lander which will take them down to the surface. That's a bit like the architecture that's being planned for Artemis 3. As far as I'm aware, or certainly ones beyond that you're talking about having a separate lander in orbit around the moon. So that's the test. But there's another element of this that was tested in this new demonstration, and that is the Mengzhao spacecraft. Like most of the crewed capsules that we see going into orbits, and certainly the Apollo capsule does this, as does the SpaceX Dragon capsule, Crew Dragon. That is the launch abort system. In other words, the way of getting the capsule off the top of the rocket if something goes wrong. And they demonstrated that by getting the Mengzhao capsule to leave the Long March 10 rocket at a fairly early stage in the flight, and it was just about the time of what we call max Q, where you've got maximum aerodynamic pressure on the vehicle. The abort motors that are fitted in the Mengzhao spacecraft pulled it away from the booster. Exactly as you would do if you were trying to escape from, something dangerous going on with your booster rocket. And it all worked very, very successfully. Very interesting to read. I think the China Manned Space Agency, their program is well on track. They have all along said they want to have taikonauts on the moon by 2030. And it looks as though they're well on the way to doing that. Here we are in 2026.
Yeah, look, they're doing some impressive things, and they have become probably the major player next to the United States in space exploration. Russia seems to have fallen a little behind, but they've got their attention focused elsewhere at the moment. But
that's right.
I think it's good. It's healthy competition. And I think having a new race to the moon situation is very exciting, and I can't wait to see how it all pans out. And I did look up the translation for Mengzhao, and it's dream vessel, or dream boat, if you like. You could go either way, but they've come a long way since releasing the motor vehicle known as the Cherry, which didn't do so great in Australia. But they're doing wonderful things now. In fact, I think it's a Chinese car company that owns MG now and is producing new models of the MG motor car, which is readily available in Australia. So, and they're selling a lot of them. They're quite a popular vehicle in this country. I don't know how they're going elsewhere, but and of course they've got the Build Your Dreams electric vehicle that's making inroads around the world. And I first saw them when we were in China a couple of years ago. They're doing amazing things technologically on Earth and in space, and I look forward to seeing how far they take it. They might get to Mars before anyone else, Fred.
Maybe. That's not impossible.
No, not at all.
It's a program to be admired. It's certainly going well.
Okay, you can read all about that test run of the Mengzhu spacecraft and the reusable booster at arstechnica.com. Let's take a break from the show to tell you about our sponsor, NordVPN. Now, if you've ever felt like your online privacy is slipping through the cracks, then you're not alone. Hackers, scammers, harvesters, they're all out there trying to get your private info, whether that's your passwords or your personal details to sell on the dark web or to use themselves to access your bank accounts, credit card details, and who knows what else. But you can protect yourself with NordVPN. You can take control at home or more importantly, when you're out in public using free Wi-Fi. Right now, using the exclusive Space Nuts offer, you can receive 4 extra months for free on a NordVPN.com plan. NordVPN encrypts your internet connection, hides your IP address, and offers access to over 7,700 servers around the world. Plus, with features like Threat Protection Pro, MeshNet, ultra-fast speeds via NordLinks, your digital life stays private and efficient. So don't miss out. Visit nordvpn.com/spacenuts and enter the code SpaceNuts to claim this deal. Remember, there's a 30-day money-back guarantee, so it's risk-free to try. Stay safe, stay private, and browse with confidence. That's nordvpn.com/spacenuts and use the code word SpaceNuts. nordvpn.com/spacenuts.
I think we need to do a little more all-weather testing. Amen.
Space Nuts.
One last story, Fred, and this one takes us into some of the outer reaches of our solar system, or at least getting on your way there. Saturn's moon Titan. Now, we've talked about Titan multiple times over the last several years for one reason or another. Now they have suggested that Titan might have previously been 2 moons or maybe more, and there was some kind of event that brought it all together.
That's right. And so what sort of prompted this is the idea that Titan's orbit has evolved, and it's basically the gravitational pull of Saturn that stabilizes the orbit. You'd expect an orbit eventually to become more or less circular, but Titan's isn't. And so what people have looked at is, what happens if we sort of replay the thing backwards to look at what that orbit might have looked like maybe 100 million years ago. And that's 100 million years. It looks as though something did happen. There is the idea of a collision between something that was large and something that was small, and the remnants of that collision still exist today. One is Titan, the other is Hyperion, which is the very famous potato-shaped moon, very odd shape, which is also in a elongated or a eccentric orbit. But so what you do is you replay their orbits back, and you find that there might have been some sort of interaction about 100 million years ago. But of course, that 100 million years rings a bell with anybody interested in Saturn, because that's how old we think the rings are. And so the suggestion is that there were two of these moons that collided, a big one and a small one. And the debris, some of it would have enhanced the size of Titan, some of it would have enhanced the size probably of Hyperion, and some of it would have created the ring system. And that's the really rather neat and tidy story that is coming out of this piece of research, which comes actually from the SETI Institute, the
kind of
extraterrestrial intelligence.
Yeah.
Yep. There's still a pretty active group of scientists at SETI.
Yeah, well, that's good. It's good that they're sort of not just focused on the one thing. They're working on other things that are happening in space science. Titan's an interesting world. I think it's the second largest moon in the solar system, or second largest.
It is. That's correct.
And it's got an atmosphere. So whatever happened to it certainly created an interesting situation.
That's right. Sorry, I've lost you on my screens. I've just found you again. That's why it's preoccupied. Not only is it the second biggest moon in the solar system, it's actually bigger than Mercury, and it's a very large object and of great interest, with the Dragonfly mission being planned to fly through the atmosphere, an octocopter that will fly through the atmosphere of Titan and send us back hopefully pictures of the ethane and methane lakes on Titan's icy surface. The surface of Titan is just solid ice. So, yeah, an interesting insight into the history of Titan, and also just sort of adds to the intrigue when we finally do go and have a close look at Titan.
Yes, indeed. Yeah, fascinating world, and another one that would not really be good for humans to wander around on.
That's right.
Yeah. We're surrounded by all of that, aren't we?
Yeah, which is not really a coincidence, is it? Because the only place we can live is the one where we evolved on. So
yes, indeed. But it's a great story. Who'd have thunk it? Two moons that created one, and that is what we call Titan. If you'd like to read up on that, it's on the phys.org website, PHYS, or you can read the paper in the Planetary Science Journal. And we are done, Fred. Thank you very much.
That's isn't that episode 601 that we
just
finished? Yeah,
yes, indeed. Wow. But time flies when you're having fun.
Certainly does. Thank you, Andrew. It's always great to chat.
We'll catch you soon on the next episode, which will be a Q&A episode coming up soon. And don't forget to visit us online in the meantime. You can do that at spacenutspodcast.com or spacenuts.io. You can visit our social media pages, the official Space Nuts Facebook page or the Instagram site, or you can go to the user-generated Facebook page, which is the Space Nuts Podcast group, which is growing in number. Let me have a look. 2,700 plus members in that Facebook group at the moment, and they all chat to each other and tell terrible jokes. So check it out. And thanks to Hugh in the studio. Hugh couldn't be with us today because he was out last Saturday night, and something about two moons. Anyway, got arrested. And from me, Andrew Dunkley, thanks for your company. Catch you on the next episode of Space Nuts. Bye-bye.
Space Nuts. You've been listening to the Space Nuts podcast.
Available at Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, or your favorite podcast player. You can also stream on demand at Bytes.com.
This has been another quality podcast production from Bytes.com.